Hi, I'm David Subkoyak.
I'm Annie Asher.
And we are the hosts of a brand new podcast called Passive Aggression.
Passive Aggression is an entertainment lifestyle podcast that covers anything and everything.
We have different episode types discussing big moments, entertainment, our personal favorites, and specific topics.
We take deep dives into general topics like how to live the C'est La Vie lifestyle and why is reality TV great.
And we love discussing movies like Legally Blonde and shows like Glee.
Each episode culminates with our Flames and Shames, where we talk about the best and worst parts of our weeks.
Annie and I are best friends, pop culture phenoms, and teenagers who love to chit-chat.
If you are looking for a way to spice up your day by learning something new,
or by hearing some candid opinions,
be sure to listen to Passive Aggression on all platforms.
You can follow us on Instagram at Passive Aggression Pod for behind the scenes, giveaways, updates, and so much more.
Our episodes are released every Tuesday. See you there.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Thanks for joining the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe.
On this show, we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear.
That means we're going to talk about some of the best movies from the 70s, 80s, and early 90s.
So thank you for joining us. Now let's get it started in here. Hi, this is Zach.
And this is Zoe, and welcome to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe, where we take a look back at the movies of yesteryear. See, I said the whole title. It was totally unnecessary because I said the title in the intro. But we're going to continue. We're going to go with it. And I meant to get my script out. Don't know where my script is at right now. Still hunting for it. And we found it. So this is the 37th episode. And, you know what? I forgot to tell you. I changed some things in the script and I meant to tell you to look at it because there are some changes. So just be aware of the changes that I made because there are some numerous ones. Just keep your heads up. Anyways, the reason we started this show was to strengthen the bond between my son Zach and me, Zoe. We watch movies that I love when I was growing up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we get Zach's impressions on these great movies.
If you like our show, then rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, podchaser.com, or your favorite podcast app.
Yeah, see
what
that?
See? We're talking about Apple Podcasts and podchasers.com. Oh, yeah. The changes are there.
Right. So, what you been up to?
Well, I mean, we did watch Black Widow.
Right, Black Widow. And that was...
yesterday.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was an awesome movie. Neither of us have been in an actual movie theater in over a year. I forgot how gigantic the screen is. I felt like I was too close.
I played Star Wars, Squadrons?
Yeah, Squadrons.
I was like, okay, yeah.
So you
fine.
played with the flight stick.
Yeah.
How you like that?
It's a little bit difficult still.
Right. So can you compare it to like a regular controller?
I mean,
have you played it on a regular controller?
No, but I know there's a huge difference because at least with the flight stick, it is a little bit more manageable because you have one hand actually controlling whether you're going up or down or turning, and the other hand is determining how fast and slow you go.
Right. So
and you can maintain that fast and slow speed by just leaving it there.
Right. So is this your first time using a flight stick on a video game?
Not really, because we had that flight simulator game and we had a different flight stick.
Right. That was a long time ago. It was for the PC. That was ancient here. It's probably still in a box in storage somewhere.
Possibly.
But it wouldn't be compatible with the PS4, and that's where we have Star Wars Squadrons. And there's another game I have. I think it's called Rebel Outlaws. So it's Rebel Outlaws something. Is it a Rebel Outlaws sequel? I can't exactly remember, but I know that game also is a flight simulator, and I think that will also work better with a flight stick. And I talked about that, I think, last episode. So, so you think you're going to finish that game?
Possibly not.
So you were just sampling it, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did you get into any other games?
Not really. Currently, me and my friends are just playing Apex while we're waiting for Smite to update.
Right.
Because we're waiting for the whole new update where they get rid of the boots, they get rid of some other items. And we're like, okay, this mobile game no longer has shoes. Oh, that's a game changer. Something that we're not really prepared for, but they made sure that even though they're getting rid of the boots, they're gonna, make sure the guards have their speed, and then at a certain level, that's when you reach your speed cap. And it's like, okay, but still, the reason why is because they realized that the shoes was taking up space when it came to building, and a lot of people didn't like that. So some people would just end up skipping the shoes and then taking the punishment for it.
Right.
So it depends if you're good or not with or without the shoes. Other people just like, again, takes up space. When you get to your near last final build, you get rid of the shoes, get a speed potion, and then put on whatever last item you need. But you have to make sure you have enough money for that. And that's a pain trying to grind for that coins.
So, my mic decided to do his own thing. So the shoes is like a piece of armor, right?
No, the shoes is basically for one shoes is for defense, but they're mainly for your speed and attack speed, or even no, there's no penetration, but I know attack speed was one of the things.
Right.
Along with cooldown and lifesteal.
So you're saying a lot of players are foregoing the shoes altogether?
I'm saying, like, some people, I think a lot of people are okay with the shoes being gone because, again, took up space when it came to building.
So the Smite team is gonna get rid of the shoes.
Yeah, getting rid of the shoes, getting rid of the speed potion.
So you don't need that for the for your characters.
Nope.
Oh, okay. So that's the update you're waiting for.
Yep. I'm also waiting for Pokemon to drop their MOBA game because I was like, ooh, Pokemon, you're doing MOBA now? Let's see how that works.
Yeah, I feel like the Pokemon Go was their mobile game, so they have
MOBA. It was basically
MOBA.
Yes.
Oh, that's what you call it?
Basically, what Smite.
What you call
like Smite, League of Legends, like that.
Right. I'm trying to think of it's a multiplayer game.
Yeah, it is.
So
a
you're going to
multiplayer.
be able to. Your Pokemon is going to be able to fight other Pokemon.
Okay, again, it's like Smite and League of Legends, where it's like a team of 5. You each have a different role. You have the jungler, the support, the tank, the mid laner, and the carry, the AOC, whatever they're supposed to call it.
Right.
And, the junglers in the jungle doing what they can do, also ganking. The support is supposed to be what they carry. Mid lane is in mid. The tank is all by himself. One of the MOBA games that I played was Paragon, which was a good game. And when they first had it out, what they did was they had the solo laner going against the carry and support. No one liked that because that was total BS. It was a 2v1. And you was never going to be tanky enough in the beginning of the game. Right. Until like either mid game or late game where you can tank enough. But either way, complete unfairness to be going against 2 people.
Right. So they changed some aspects of that.
Yeah, they changed it so where it's solo against solo and carry support against carry support.
Right.
Like how it should be. And I was like, okay, good. That's a little better, Paragon. But again, Paragon shut down because Epic Games don't know how to do any management. They didn't want to advertise the game. So
the main crux for you in these games is trying to team up with like 5 people.
Yeah, basically, you're teamed up with random people automatically when you're in a queue. So it's just that you have to hope there's a good communication going on. And I'm not that type to use a mic, so I just end up using the chat system if they have one. But there's a lot of issues with mobile games because people don't pay attention.
Right.
You can be like, enemies missing. If whoever get killed, like, oh, enemy missing, and then you just look at them like, I just told you that. Did you not look at the chat? Did you not hear anything? Are you okay? Because I'm pretty sure I said enemy missing, be careful. I'm pretty sure I said that, and since I did, that is your own fault for getting killed.
Right.
Not me, you. You should have been more careful. Especially if you're a mid laner, they completely get all mad. Especially when if you don't call out, or if you do, they still get mad. Because again, you already made the call. That's their fault for not being cautious.
Well, that's that team dynamic. That's why I play alone. I've always wanted to try to get into multiplayer games, but I haven't taken that plunge yet. I hadn't tried it yet, so maybe later. Because I'm afraid the main reason I don't is I'm probably going to be the weak link.
Yeah, just stick to your single player games.
Right. I can, when I'm playing by myself, I can live in the fantasy that I'm pretty good. Or like fighting games, I can do that because it's just 2 people fighting each other. So that's easier for me. Even though whenever I go online on Mortal Kombat, I'm just getting trounced. Trounced, I tell you. So anyway, I've been I've been reading. Have you been reading? No, I guess not. Why am I asking you
I don't know
if you've been reading? I already know the answer to that question. You should read more. But anyway, I'm still reading My Days with the Dark Muse. That's by DM Needing, the guest that we had a couple weeks ago. So I'll be making an appearance on her podcast, Better Twos, soon. I might finish up that book today or not. I don't know. It's like I'm thinking I could probably get to it pretty quick, but there are other things that are attracting me, like video games are attractive. I just got a new video shooting gig. I want to test that out. I want to practice with my lightsaber. I want to do that. So, bunch of stuff and reading is just, there are some shows that I need to watch. Like, I want to finish the Battlestar Galactica series because I've been watching that with a podcast, a recap podcast. I want to get back into not Loki. I keep talking about that, which I've seen, and it's getting good. They've shown a bunch of variant Lokis in the episode that I watched, and I thought that was thrilling to see all those different Lokis. There was like Blackish and all those shows. I want to get back into watching some television. So all of those things draw me away from drawing, which is something I like to do, and reading. So I'm going to have to balance this out somehow. Get it all in some kind of way. Also been listening to podcasts. So like Not a Bomb had a particularly good show on show number 45. They talked about John Carter, and they had a bunch of interesting tidbits because this movie, John Carter, had a lot of lore behind it. Have you seen that movie? I think you did.
Maybe, I don't know.
It was a Disney movie. It's about a man. He ended up on Mars.
No, I definitely didn't see it today.
Oh, okay. It's actually a pretty good movie, but basically what happened is that Disney was in the process of buying Star Wars, and they actually didn't want a successful like space-based franchise or science fiction franchise to start, because they feared that George Lucas would shy away from Disney if Disney had their own like successful space franchise. And it's really not about space. There's no traveling in space. It's just that one guy basically teleports to Mars from Earth. So there's no space travel in it whatsoever. But it's similar enough and in fact, John Carter is a movie that's based on a book called The Princes of Mars, which features and introduced the character of John Carter by Edgar Rice Burroughs, who also wrote Tarzan. At the time when he was writing his books, he was like one of the most famous, most read books when he was alive. People still reference Tarzan today. They're still making Tarzan movies. Tarzan is apparently the most well-known fictional character in the entire world.
Apparently.
Everybody knows about Tarzan. And but fewer people know about John Carter. They've tried to make John Carter movies, but none of them ever got off the ground like Tarzan got off the ground. I guess because, you have to rely heavily on special effects and whatnot. And, aliens like the Martians, because they got forearms or whatever. So anyways, so like George Lucas got his inspiration from John Carter, as well as a bunch of other science fiction artists and scientists. So basically Disney was like, well, we're going to tank this movie so that we can buy Lucasfilm. That's basically the word going around. So they didn't market the movie like they would a blockbuster, because it made very little money. It should have made at least a couple $100 million. Well, I think it did make a couple $100 million, but it should have made like $500 million. It made well below that. So and that's because Disney tanked it on purpose. There were no toys, no video games. They didn't do anything to market this movie. But and that's what they talked about on Not a Bomb. It was a fantastic show. I also listened to Why Do I Love This Movie? That's a cool concept. Silver Screeners, Cask and Crow, Passive Aggression by Annie and David. Those Passive Aggression is the promo that you heard at the beginning of the show. And they're just talking about life, the universe, and everything from a teenage perspective, and that it's a charming show. So anyway, you know what? It's time we go into the movie segment. What movie did we watch?
Kingpin.
That was a sweet movie.
All right. Roy Munson was once a bowling champion, but a mishap destroyed his dreams of glory. One day, Roy happened upon a fantastic Amish bowler named Ismail and dreams of using the native Ismail to regain bowling glory and riches.
All right, that word is naive.
Oh, naive.
Naive.
The naive
Ishmael. I think I misspelled his name. It's supposed to be a SH, but his name is pronounced Ishmael.
Ismail, or they just kept saying Ismail. I could have sworn.
Right, yeah. So, this movie was released in July 6th, 1996. Oh, I'm sorry, July 26th. A little less than a month before you were born. Your mom was like 8 months pregnant. She was about to pop. She was about to give birth.
Oh yeah, she told me that she didn't want to take it no more, so she just gave birth to me early, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't know she gave birth to you early. Oh, I think it was just a couple of days early. It wasn't like it wasn't significantly early.
No, apparently I was supposed to be born a month after that.
No, you're supposed to be born in August, but
that's not what Mom said. Well,
we'll have that discussion. I'll talk to your mom about it, but I'm 90% sure that she didn't have you a month early. So, anyways, it was released by Ricer Entertainment. It grossed over $25 million in the U.S. and Canada, and on a $27 million budget, and had mixed reviews. And that is mind blowing. I thought that this movie was a hit. This movie tanked at the box office. It made less money than it cost to make. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that this was a bomb. So it failed. It's basically a movie failure, but we'll talk about more of that later. So this movie was starring Woody Harrelson as Roy Munson. He's famous for being on Cheers. He also continued his glory with White Men Can't Jump, Natural Born Killers, Zombieland, Venom, and what else he gonna be on?
What do you mean?
The upcoming movie featuring Woody Harrelson.
Are you talking about the second Venom movie?
Venom 2, that is correct.
Yeah, Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Right. Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Can't wait to see Carnage.
Right. Go ahead.
Randy Quaid as Ismail. He was in Independence Day, Brokeback Mountain, National Lampoon.
Yeah,
and Lampoon's Vacation. No, okay.
Yeah, National Lampoon's Vacation. I should put that on us. I've only seen one National Lampoon, because they made a series of National Lampoon Vacation, and one I've seen is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. No, National Lampoon's European Vacation. That's the one I've seen, and it was real funny. It was with Chevy Chase. Do you remember? Do you recognize or remember Randy Quaid from Independence Day?
No. He
was the drunk pilot.
Oh, okay.
That dude that was kept saying that he was what's the word I'm looking for? He was he was probed by aliens. He was that dude.
Oh, that dude.
And he was the one to sacrifice himself at the end of the movies. He's like, I'm back, up yours, that guy. So Randy Quaid is also a brother of Dennis Quaid, the less crazy Randy sibling. So this movie also starred Bill Murray as Ernie McCracken. He's in Ghostbusters, Lost in Translation, Scrooged, and Get Smart. Bill Murray is just a prolific comic actor. He's like a comic genius. He's a joy every time you see him.
Vanessa Angel as Claudia. She was in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot and Hall Pass.
Also, Chris Elliott. He was the gambler. He played in Groundhog Day, and There's Something About Mary and Cabin Boy. He's in this time when he was in this movie, because it was really a cameo. Mm-hmm. You can kind of tell that he was already extremely popular when you remember The Gambler.
Talking about in the first set of the scene, or
in the gambler scene, like when you first see him, and he's gambling at the table, and then Ishmael takes his dice and throws it.
Okay. Why you? I feel like I know there was Adult Swim, so I'm trying to remember. Chris, no. I know he was like a sheriff or something. It was like a weird Adult Swim show they had.
Probably. So this comedian is Chris Elliott. He's had at least one TV show that I remember, and he's been on TV. Like, he's mainly a TV actor, so you see him on TV all the time. Even now, he's on a bunch of TV shows, and he's continually. Excuse me. I should have got some water. He is continuing to make great TV shows. So, but at this time, this is like the apex of his fame. And
Eagle Heart, that's what it was.
Oh, that was him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was like, he looks so familiar. I can't put my finger on it.
It was when I was watching the movie, I remembered him, but I couldn't remember his name. So, yeah, this is like near the apex of his fame, where he was just everywhere. He kind of reminds me of Tom. Is it Tom Green? I think Tom Green, where he made that video, "My Bum Is on Your Lips," I guess. I can't remember. Anyways, let's move on.
William Jordan as Mr. Boog.
I think that's Borg.
He was in Contract and the Buddy Holly Story.
So he played the father, the Amish father.
Oh, the Amish father. Oh, right. Okay.
Then there's Lynn Shay. She was the landlady. She was in Insidious, Dumb and Dumberer. And Dumb and Dumberer, When Harry Met Lloyd. She's in a bunch of different movies, like Insidious' entire series. She's in that whole series, and she makes a bunch of movies. But like most of the movies I've seen, I don't recognize the title, so I think most of these are direct-to-video movies, or maybe they're cable movies.
No, they're not. Insidious? No,
I'm not talking about the movies I wrote down. I'm talking about the ones that I saw on her IMDb page.
Oh, the ones.
Like she's in a lot of movies, but I don't recognize the titles of those movies. So I'm thinking that they're either cable movies or they're direct-to-video movies. But do you remember the landlady?
Yeah, I remember. Yes, I remember.
Yeah, she was in like one of the best parts of that movie. Go ahead.
This was directed by Bob and Peter Farley.
Farley.
The Farley Bros. They directed Dumb and Dumber, There's Something About Mary, Me, Myself, and Irene, and Hall Pass. Yeah, so the Farrelly brothers, they that's kind of how they're usually credited when they make these movies. They're like a brand, right? So the Farrelly brothers is a brand of movies. That's how famous they are. So and their movies garner much acclaim. They're almost always funny. The only movie that I've seen on this list is Dumb and Dumber, and I think I've seen Me, Myself, and Irene. That's the one with Jim Carrey. I didn't see There's Something About Mary, even though it's a very famous movie, or Hall Pass, which is also said to be extremely funny. But I did see this one. I did see Kingpin. This movie was written by Barry Fanaro and Mort Nathan. Fanaro wrote Men in Black 2, and he wrote, he's a television writer mainly, so he wrote Benson and the Golden Girls. And Nathan, he wrote Boat Trip, and also has written for Benson and the Golden Girls. So these are mainly TV sitcom writers, and so they wanted to make a funny movie, so they dragged these two cats. It's like, we know you make funny sitcoms, it's time to write funny movies. Music was by Freddie Johnston.
Yep.
He wrote music for Me, Myself, and Irene, Kicking and Screaming, and Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead.
I think it's Freddie Johnston.
Freddie Johnson?
Yeah. Okay. I just realized that. But so he has written and performed music for all of these movies. So he's and his music is fantastic. So the executive producer is Keith Samples. So what you got?
Well, that's it for the rundown. And if you're enjoying the show, remember that you can get t-shirts, hoodies, mug, face masks, jerseys, and more at our website, backlookcinema.com, where you can click the link to either teesprings.com or tpublic.com. Now, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some of the critics thought.
Every day, hundreds of children worldwide are abandoned by their families and harassed on the streets simply for the crime of being a mutant. We at Hope for Life believe that people shouldn't be persecuted, prejudged, or discriminated against simply for the crime of being born with superpowers, especially children. While some may find homes within a civil rights group such as the X-Men, hundreds more never find a stable place to grow up in a peaceful environment. Hope for Life is a charitable organization that locates and rescues lost and homeless mutant children, and we could use your help. For just $5 a day, you can virtually adopt a mutant child and help them find a safe place to live. With your donation, you'll receive a special app that gives you your child's name, age, abilities, and progress as they get older. Just go to our website, and for less than the price of a cup of coffee, you can give a child a place to live, a chance to grow, a hope for life.
And we're back. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find the details in the show notes. There are direct links to our socials at backlookcinema.com, where you can leave us direct feedback, comments, suggestions, etc. Or you can email us at fanmail@backlookcinema.com. So, Zach, what were your favorite parts of the movie?
Okay, so you already know it's like in the beginning where Roy beats McCracken. He's like, oh yeah, I beat him. I'm now the new champion. Especially after McCracken was doing all this narration, telling about, oh, can he beat McCracken? Can he beat the Streak? And I'm like, is he really narrating out loud?
So McCracken was current champion, and Roy was the challenger. And so yeah, that was what
He's
Roy
like,
was
hey,
about
can
to
you
make.
please be quiet? You're saying that loud. He's like, really? I am?
Yeah, Roy's at the bowling lane. They're about to, he's about to make roll his, I guess this is the final ball.
Yeah, this is the final ball.
And he has to make a strike, and this would determine whether or not he wins. And Roy is just going, at first when you see him, you think he's an announcer because he's narrating.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, so that's what they have as he, okay, so he's an announcer. No, he's actually the ball. I was like, oh.
No, he's not announcing. He's talking while Roy is trying to
I'm like,
concentrate.
Murray, what are you doing? Come on.
And then just as he's about to let go of the ball, he says, good luck.
Still got the strike.
And still got the strike. Right. So Roy loses, gets all mad.
Yeah.
Because he was
Roy wins.
No, that's what I meant. Roy wins, right. It's McCracken gets
all mad.
Right.
It was like, okay, he's about, in the next scene, he's at a car repair. And was like, yeah, there's sugar in here. He's like, what? There's sugar. So he takes sugar. And they're like, how does there's sugar in there?
He puts the oil in his mouth so he can taste the sugar.
And then McCracken, coincidentally shows up. He's like, hey, if you need to make money, there's a thing that we bowlers do to make money on the extra side, extra money. So he takes them to a different place, a bowling alley that has, but they're at a bar at this bowling alley, and they do a skit where basically they're Bible salesman, dictionary salesman.
Right.
And they basically, McCracken goes ahead and drinks, but the whole point is that Roy, he doesn't get drunk, so he just pours the liquor out and pretends to be drunk,
right,
and pretends to like, oh yeah, he can bowl anything anyway, even though he's so-called drunk.
Right.
And so, they go ahead, they take the challenge from the bartender, because he's like, well, if you want to place bets, I know something. I think he has like a stutter or something like that. No, not a stutter, because he
has a tick.
I was like, okay then.
Right.
I was like, all right. And then, they bowl a father. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, what you call it?
A priest,
it's supposed to be a Catholic priest.
A Catholic priest. I'm like, okay. They bowl. Roy does his last. It's not his his second to last roll. It becomes a 7-10 split. And then McCracken like, you can't do it. You can't get that. There's no way. Like, come on. There's no, like, even if they make the bet, even if they put down double, how many got? Like $1,000? Like, even though if they put double or nothing, you can't make it.
Right.
And then the priest like, go on, guys. I'm good for it. Go ahead. Put it down. Let's see him fail. And then Roy goes to he throws the ball and he hits, I believe it's the 7, and it knocks into the 10. They're like, that should be the most impossible thing to get, and you got it?
Right. So I think that was when he made the split. That was his last.
Yeah,
bowl.
that bar was his last bowl.
And so they make an additional bet that he can pick up the split.
Yeah, to pick up the split.
Right.
He picks it up. They make off with the money, but then the car is not fully starting. And then that's when they're talking about, hey, fellas, where you think you're going? And then McCracken's like, okay, at times like this, a bowler must get out and face the music. So Roy goes and get out, and then McCracken's like, but fortunately, you're the bowler. And then drives off. So I'm like, wow.
Right. Drives off, leaves Roy there
to get
at the mercy. They start
manhandled.
beating him up.
They didn't beat. They just grabbed him.
They just grabbed
took
him.
him inside, placed his hand where the bowl comes out of.
The ball.
The ball comes out of, and then, ruins his good bowling hand. And it's like, oh, man, 17 years later, he just has a hook for it. And I was like, wow.
Right. 17 years later, he has a hook for a hand, and then he puts a rubber hand over the hook. A while ago, like in his youth, Roy was a bowling champion. He had won like the state bowling championship, and he had a ring that he always wore on his finger. So now he puts the ring on his rubber hand, which I think is kind of wild because you still has left hand. You can still put your ring on your left hand. You don't have to.
He wants to put it on the hand that he had it on that he bowled with.
Right.
He's like, no, that's the only thing it can go on.
Right. He can only put it on this bowling hand. So, what other parts you like?
Let's see. When he comes home, because he lives in this apartment place, and the landlord is getting robbed.
It was a landlady.
Yeah, the landlady's getting robbed, so he goes up, I think a hot cup of, it was just a hot cup of liquid.
It was supposed to be like coffee.
Yeah, coffee. Throws it in the robber's face. The robber runs off. He's like, he's like, yeah, don't ever come back again. And the landlady's like, don't worry, you don't have to pay anything. Don't worry about it. She goes away. She goes in her room, in her house. Roy goes to his. He's talking to the guy who basically attempted to rob her. And he's like, yeah, 25, I deserve more than that. It was like, especially when you threw hot coffee in my face. And he was like, I didn't know you were going to have a knife. And he was like, I got to make it look authentic. And as they're talking,
and then he said it wasn't even hot.
He's telling me it wasn't even hot. He's also making another hot cup. And then the landlady comes in with telling me, oh yeah, I got you some nice liquor for saving me and stuff. And then she sees the robber in the house talking to Roy, and then Roy's like, throws a hot cup of water in his face. He's like, ah! He's like, don't ever come back here again. And then she's already pissed because she knows it was a setup just to avoid for him to pay rent.
Right. And then she threatens to call the police.
She's like, I'm going to call the police. And he was like, no, you don't take deep breath. And then basically, she's like, you don't want to pay rent and you want to calm me down. There's one way. And then it skips to him just puking in the toilet. And she's like, man, it wasn't that bad. I'm
he's puking in the toilet. She's in the bed
smoking.
naked with the after sex glow.
Come on, you weren't that bad. I'm like, but still.
Yeah, he kept puking. I was one of the funnest moments in most movies.
Disgusting.
Yeah, so she forced him into sexual confrontation in order for him to get off not paying rent, I guess, for a couple of months to defer his rent, I guess, because I'm pretty sure she's going to want all of her money eventually.
Yeah. And then, the next good scene is basically he sees on a paper where there's going to be a bowling tournament in Reno, and he remembers that he met Ismail at a bowling alley. He's like, he could do this. He has a good arm. He has a good form. I can mold him into a champion somewhat, and we can split the money 50-50 because I'm not going to be like McCracken and screw him over. Kind of.
Right. He
goes where Ismail lives and poses as an Amish guy. And he was like, yeah, tell me I live in Ohio. I'm like, uh-huh.
Right.
I'm like, and then, Ismail's like, listen, they're going to figure you out real quickly because we put in the work. We work more than you. We work basically 12. You work 8 hours.
He's dressed as an Amish and he's trying to pretend like he's from Ohio. And then, but when they're at like a dinner table, and
Dinner
then
table.
Ishmael
Yeah,
comes
like-
in.
No,
and he,
before that he's eating, and then he noticed that no one else is eating, because especially when the little kid, she's like, the mother's like, you gotta wait for your brother, and then he's like, oh, I didn't know.
he had to spit out his food because they gotta wait and they gotta say prayer, and he up there trying to eat already when when they gotta wait for his brother. Yeah, so Ishmael walks in, he recognizes Roy immediately, and so they go outside, and it was like, well, you'll never pass on Amish because we work twice as hard plus a half, so you'll never be able to convince us that you're Amish.
And then
so
he
that
stays
cuts to the next day.
Next day they go and they have to build a farmhouse, and it's like, okay,
No, you missed the milk part.
He's talking about where's Brother War. He's talking about, I don't know, I don't see him. He comes up talking about, oh yeah, I was milking your cow. Talking about it was pretty hard, and
he
they're
started
like,
to drink
he started to drink the milk, the so-called milk, and they're like, we don't have a cow, we have a bull. He's like, oh god. I'm like, oh god.
I'm gonna go brush my teeth.
I'm gonna tell about, yeah, your cow is pretty stubborn. I'm like, what cow is stubborn giving milk? And they're like, we don't have a cow, we have a bull. I'm like, wow.
Ew. It's gross. It's gross just thinking about it.
Next scene, again, they have to build
They're raising a house.
They're gonna build a barn, and they're like, okay, Ismail, you go, look after the kids. He's like, I want to go build. After lunch, you can help with that. But
so they have
Brother Ward, you're gonna help us build.
Right.
So, first scene, they're doing some hammering. Roy's not paying attention because he sees a female goes by, and then he's continued to hammer, lift up his rubber hand, and then the nail is through the hand on the wooden board, and then everyone else looking like, dude, what are you doing?
right.
Why are you not paying attention?
Or when they was trying to raise the house.
Yeah, then they're raising the side of the barn, and then they ring the dinner bell. It's like, ooh, dinner. He goes away while everyone else is trying to put it up. They struggle, and the whole thing collapsed. And then he's there eating, and then like all of them, the men comes over to my brother Roy. We don't know how you built on Ohio, but in where were they?
They're in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but in Pennsylvania, we do not leave the wall just because the dinner bell rings. And then he's like, well, there's something in the Bible about, forgiving. And then
not forgiving.
Oh yeah, not forgiving. And they're like, yeah, what does it say in the Bible? That is
it's not allowed.
It's not allowed. I'm like, I'm like, already they're mad at you. They're putting two and two together like, there's just no way this man can be Amish.
Right.
No way. There's no way they do this in Ohio.
Right, but they're too polite to make an accusation.
Yeah. So then, that's when the father goes up to Ismail's like, listen, we're gonna lose the land because we need $5,000. No,
they need $500,000.
Yeah, $500,000, and there's like no way we're gonna get that.
Right.
It's like, and then it's like, unless a bowling alley tournament. I'm like,
no, he didn't say that. He said something else, but that's where he gets.
Yeah,
that's where Ishmael decides to take
Roy
up on his offer.
Roy on the offer, go ahead, go to Reno to basically bowl to get the money.
Right, to win the money, get $1 million. It's $1 million prize, and then split it, and then he can save his family's land.
And then the first thing they do, they go to a random bowling alley. And then at the end of the day, just come out and then Roy's upset because he's like, how do you lose to a guy that, what was it, 110, whatever his average is?
I think that the guy's average was like 180 and
180, and then
Ishmael had lost. He had got much less, or maybe it was 200, and the guy and Ishmael got like 120 or something like that. It's like, how do you lose? And Ishmael's like, oh, I told you we worked twice as hard plus a half, so we both 15. We both 15 lanes. It's like,
I'm like,
you with your 10 lanes.
I'm like, wait, Ismail, you do know it's like that makes no sense. Why are you bowling in a bigger lane, knowing the lane's gonna be smaller?
Well, no, not that the lane's bigger. He bowls more lane. He bowls more. So like in a regular bowling, you roll your ball 10 times down, and that's called a lane. So you only get 10. But Ishmael rolls 15. He rolls his ball 15 down the lane, right? So his average can be greater because he's bowling more often than in a regulation lane. So that's why he has such a high. Because he told Roy that his average is at 250. The highest you can get in bowling is 300. So if you rolling 250, you're doing pretty good. But you can roll a 250 if you can roll more often down the lane, which is what he was doing. So now he has to teach Ishmael not only give him tips in bowling, but how to up his average, which is only 10 lanes. Because he gets so upset he almost takes Ishmael back home. He's like, no, I can do it.
And then I'm gonna walk to Reno.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk to Reno.
And then he looks in the back mirror. He sees his landlord basically taunting him. He's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
drives it like, you know what? You passed the test. He's like, "It was a test." Throws it like that. Oh, you. I'm like, I hope that's not gonna be a thing when you throw something down and be like, "Oh, you. I gotta keep my eye on you." If that becomes a thing, there's some issues we gotta talk about.
Yeah, and it's kind of a thing.
I'm like, yeah, we got issues that we need to talk about.
So the thing is that every time that Roy needs motivation, he gets vision of his landlord doing a symbol for oral sex.
And he's like, nope, I ain't doing that again.
Right. So he don't want none of that action. So what else do you remember?
Since they needed money, they try to do the whole bit again. Roy tried to teach Ismail how to do the bit, but Ismail's not knowing his lines. And then the guy they're trying to basically trick, he's like, well, you guys want to, bet, here's a place, come there. And I'm like,
yeah, so the guy,
like, I already know this because I hear this plenty of times
right.
of you guys being dictionary salesmen.
Right.
Just come to this place if you want to bet, bring money.
Right.
So they go to the place. Roy has like, I guess $10 in fake $100 bills and Monopoly money. I'm like, oh, okay. That's one way to, basically try to get away with it.
Yeah, I think he has like 2 real $100 bills, and all the other $100 bills are like phony Monopoly money.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. So they go. It's a rich guy. They get startled by, I guess, the henchman who barks at them.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he got this henchman that basically acts like a dog.
I'm like, okay, that's a little weird, but okay. So they go. They start to bowl in his house, and it's the last. It's the last bowl because the guy missed. I think he had like 3 pins left. And he's like, oh, okay. It's Ismail's turn. He's about to bowl. And the guy, he has a female with him. And so she's there as a distraction. She was like, hey, does anyone want something to drink? So she goes to the freezer, gets something to drink, comes around, and basically her nipples are hard. I'm like, okay.
Right.
And then Roy gets distracted. Ismail's like, oh, that's cool. Okay, I guess. And he's like,
I don't think Ishmael notices. It's
I don't think he noticed
for Ishmael. He doesn't notice.
But I don't think, because he already has someone back at home.
Right. He decides he wants to go into the refrigerator.
He's like, let me go ahead and help out. He comes out and his nipples. I'm like, what kind of freezer is that? What in the world? And then the boy's like, he noticed. He's like, what kind of freezer is that?
Right.
So even with the distraction, Ishmael goes ahead and bowl. He gets a strike. And,
and he wins.
They get the money. And then before they go ahead and leave, the lady makes a remark saying, wow, you got beat in your own house with your own bowling alley. That's the same. So he takes her, hits her.
Yeah,
and,
they go in the back room.
They go in the back room, hits her. And then, Ismail is not liking that.
Yeah, they make so much noise. He makes so much noise and slapping her around that they don't see it, but they can hear her getting beat up.
And like, okay, yeah, we don't like that. And before they leave, the guy noticed, like, wait a minute, you was betting with fake money. You was gonna jip me out even if you lost. And so they was basically gonna. He grabbed Ismail. His henchman grabbed Ismail. He was like, all right, I want you to take his right hand, take his left hand, and make this guy make it like his right hand. I'm like, yeesh.
Right.
Just wow.
He hated that. Ishmael, or not Ishmael, but
Roy was going to chip them out.
Right, Roy was betting with fake money. I'm like, he won,
but
if he had lost, he was going
to have to give up the
bad.
fake money.
So, but they managed to escape with the help of the girl,
the female,
the girl
Claudia,
that got beat up. Right,
that's her name. Helped them escape, and then I was like, okay, it helps them escape. They was going to chase. But then, they was like, okay, see, this flash my tires. We can't chase.
Right. So what other favorite parts you got?
So they get to a whole, like, they've been going around betting, and they've been winning all these bets. They even bet an old lady that since he didn't have the money, they took her wheels. They took her scooter. I'm like, wow.
They took a motorized wheelchair.
I'm just like, wow, okay.
Right, because they got to make money to get to Reno. Right.
They stop at a hotel before they're about to sleep, but instead of sleeping, Roy's like, hey, get up. We're going to go. It was like, but what about Claudia? They was like, don't worry about it. Just come on. We got to go. This is going to be like a storm and a shit storm, whatever. Now should go to our car and we got to go.
They're trying to leave
They're basically trying to leave Claudia behind.
Because he doesn't want to
split
the money with
And they basically like, be quiet. Don't make any noise.
Right.
And then, they do make noise, but it's, again, make it outside. And they see Claudia in a car. And then he's like, she slept in the car. Because he probably already knew I was just going to dip and leave her.
Right.
And then they get in a fight, basically being on loud. And Ismail hears everything where they're like, oh, you're just using Ismail. You're also using Ismail, trying to get the money. So Ismail leaves, and he was like, I'm just going to do my own thing then.
Right. Ishmael leaves. So when they stop fighting and they call a truce, they realize Ishmael is left. Now they got to go find Ishmael.
Find him. And then so they're driving. Roy drives near his hometown. He's like, I haven't been here since like 15, 20 years. And the reason why is because he's the same that he lost his hand and he could no longer bowl.
Yeah, everybody in the town looked up to him to basically bring glory to the town because they knew that he was a great bowler.
Because even when you enter the town, it was like the home of the great Munson, the famous bowling.
Right.
It was like, wow.
Right. The town basically identifies the Munson family as champion bowlers, and he wasn't able to continue that tradition. And now the running joke in the movie is now Munson is associated with something bad happening.
Oh yeah, for some reason, his last name is basically like, yeah, if you're being a Munson, what does that mean? Talking about, oh yeah, you have fame and glory, but then you just fumble downhill.
Right,
and I'm like,
right.
Did someone really just make his last name into a term?
Right,
that's really messed up. Who would do such a thing?
I don't want to be Munson in the middle of nowhere.
Wait, what would you say? Munson. I don't want to be a Munson in the middle of nowhere. What does that mean? Being high, being famed with glory and falling down. I'm like,
it's just an expression.
It's an expression. I'm like, he's like, that's my last name, though. You do know my name is Roy Munson.
Right.
There's no way that's a coincidence.
Right.
And, go down to his, he looks down memory lane. There was an ice cream place that used to be there, no longer is there. He goes back to where he used to bowl, where his father had his, I guess it was like a car pump shop, something like that.
Yeah, his father owned
a gas station, something like that.
It was a maintenance shop.
Yeah. And then, he was more saying because when his father passed, he didn't even go to the funeral.
Right.
And then, he still had the watch that his father gave him. He was like, I couldn't even get this thing to work, so he threw it on the ground. And so they leave, continue to find Ismail. They come across a strip bar, and it was like, hey, have you seen this guy, yellow hair, kind of not smart? I'm like, oh, yeah. And he points, and then he's on a pole dance, and I'm like,
right.
Okay, then.
He's in makeup. He's
in makeup, dressed up.
Mostly in the movie, he's wearing his regular Amish suit, right?
Yeah.
But this is the first time you see him in different clothes, and now he is like, He's in a bathing suit, basically, with straight on makeup. So basically, he's dressed in drag, and he's dancing on the stripper pole. I have no idea how or why they got him to do this.
Hey, the money was good.
Apparently, he was trying to make money to get to Reno.
Yeah,
but that was crazy.
And then a few seconds later, they're running out of the strip bar. They get in the car and you see the owner and two other guys trying to chase them.
Right.
And that's because I don't know who hit them in the nuts, but one of them hit them in the nuts. I was like, okay.
Well, the reason that they're running out is
because of course because they're stealing Ismail so they can get to Reno.
They're
of course.
Stealing Ishmael. It's like, you can't steal our dancer in the middle of a dance.
I'm like, okay, then.
Right.
So they get to Reno. They're like, okay, we're here at Reno. We're going to do the bowling tournament. trying to remember what happens. They come across this gambler who's like, okay, I'm gonna bet all my money on this one throw. And then he looks at Ismail, I'm like, you want to give it a kiss? He was like, he grabs the dice, throws it, and then the guy wins. I'm like, okay, wow, that's some stroke of luck.
Right. Ishmael didn't know what he was supposed to do.
Ismail didn't know. He was like,
supposed to blow the dice.
He was supposed to blow the dice.
Instead,
so the
he
guy
just grabs the dice and throws it down.
Okay,
down again, because the guy was playing craps. So I
was like, okay then.
Right. So also that's when they bump into McCracken.
Yeah,
again.
McCracken. And then that's when he was like, yeah, you don't want to be a much. And then he realized McCracken was the one who came up with the term.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So he gained all this fame and glory, even though he was the one that caused Roy to lose his hand. That's really messed up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm sorry. I already said I'm sorry, even though he's not sorry at all.
Right. He's not sorry. He's not.
Because he was petty because he lost to the guy.
Right. But see, even though he he lost to Munson, when Munson had his hand ruined, McCracken could continue to fame and glory. And that's what he got. Like, yeah, he was doing commercials. You could see that he was extremely wealthy. He had nice clothes. He had like puffed up hair, like to cover his bald spot.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And, apparently he had a thing with Claudia tomorrow. Like, you come back with me. And she basically doesn't want to go back.
Right.
Because apparently he must have been hitting her because,
No, they never. That wasn't.
She felt traumatized apparently.
She definitely didn't want to go back with him.
Yeah.
Maybe it's probably because he was conceited, or maybe he cheated on her a lot. It's kind of hard to say. You can tell that he was the type of person that, especially when you look at that commercial. That
he's basically talking about, I take care of these kids, while he's basically just holding on to the female, not even caring about the kid.
Like just rubbing up against the female actors. And it's like, and who's to say? Maybe these actors are his ex-girlfriends, and those kids are his kids.
When he was getting interviewed, he had apparently a lawsuit against him, and I pulled out. I'm like, what?
Yeah. He had a paternity lawsuit against him.
I pulled out of her.
Yeah, I pulled out way before.
Trying to claim he's a pull-out king. That's what he's trying to say.
Right.
That's when So, they're about to go their separate ways, basically. Claudia gets caught back up with the guys she just left. And then she's like, I'm not with those guys. You don't have to hurt them. See, I got the money, all the money that we made. So let's just go leave them alone. And the guy's like, all right, fine. So they go. Then they, when they get back to the hotel room, they're like, okay, well, actually, because Ismail basically tried to punch McCracken because he was making fun of Roy.
Right.
But because he punched the wall, he broke his hand, and he went to the hotel room, and he's in the bathroom, and Roy's like, "Come on, your hand's not broken." He's like, "Ah," I'm like, "Okay, it's broken." I'm like, "Wow."
Yeah, his hand is obviously broken. It's totally swollen up, and
he put all his strength into that punch.
And then Roy barely touches Ishmael's hand, and Ishmael is in total pain. So it was like, oh yeah, I guess it is broken.
It's like, okay, so we'll just get Claudia. And it's like, where's Claudia? And then they see maids cleaning up the room. It's like, hey, have you seen a female here? He was like, yeah, she left with 2 men. She was like, but we're right here. He's talking about not you. It was like 2 handsome men. And they're like, what?
Right. The maids totally straight to their faces. No, 2 handsome men, not you guys.
Not you guys.
2 handsome
wow.
men.
I'm like, just wow. Okay, then. So then they're like, okay, you know what? Just go to the bowling. It's almost like, listen, you can do it. You are a bowling champion. You can actually do it.
Right. So, Ishmael encourages Roy
to go
to
ahead
bowl with his rubber hand.
And they're like, okay, fine, we'll go. He goes and talking about, yeah, my name is Roy Mutson, and like, oh, you can't do it because you have to pay.
Before it was like, I'm registered, I'm Roy Munson.
Yeah,
it was like, you got to be kidding me. For real? It's like, no, it's for real. That's my name,
Roy Mutson. And like,
right.
They look through the files, they find it, but then they realize that he had to pay money. And then they're like, yo, you got to pay how much? $38. I'm like, $38?
Right, because
Did
he
y'all
had
not raise the money? Like, how low was this thing back then?
Right,
25 cents, and they slowly gained up to $35?
right, because they said that he owed like 20 years of back dues.
20 years of back. I'm like, okay, I'm thinking it's gonna be it's like gonna be most of the money from the tournament.
Right.
It was like $38. I'm like, oh, really?
Right.
Roy, come on.
So, what else happened?
They start bowling. You have McCracken doing his thing, basically taking it all in. Roy's doing his own thing. But no, before that, there's also this shit going around where he's like, he's basically showing his rubber hand with the ring on it. With Ismail, he was like, oh, tell me the rubber hand? No, the ring.
Right.
Go.
Every time he tried to impress, he has a ring on his rubber hand. So every
and
time
then when he goes up to
he
apply,
shows it to people, and he tries to impress people with, it's like, look at this. And it's like, why are you showing me a rubber hand? It's like, no, the ring.
And then when it came to the two females, I was basically telling him he owes $38. He was like, come on, look at the hand. And come on, look at this. And like, the rubber hand? What for? I'm like, no, the ring is 24 karat. It's like, oh, he's a champion from that longer. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, that's right, because they didn't have $38, so he lets them hold the ring so that he could get into the tournament, right? Because the ring, since it was it was 24 karat gold, so it was worth something. So they can hold on to it as collateral so that he can get into the tournament because Claudia left with all of their money, right?
I'm like, that's just wow.
Right.
It's like, they go ahead and bowl. Ismo's cheering on Roy. It gets down to and it's like a montage, and you see McCracken actually cheating at some point where he's basically untucking some guy's shirt. And I'm like,
well, I don't even know if that's cheating.
I'm pretty sure that's cheating because you're basically disturbing someone. It's supposed to be like...
I think he's just being annoying because it's not just them two bowling. It's a whole bunch of bowlers. And
the whole bunch of bowlers.
They're whittling it down. And he's just being just annoying. Because I don't know what he was doing with the dude's shirt.
Yeah, he was untucking it because he was trying to make him unbalanced.
I guess. But it was
that's the whole point, because it's like, think about it. When you're doing something... And the way you dress is how you bowl, basically.
Right.
That's why they have different forms of bowling. It's like when you see them do that or something, whatever they do, that's how they make sure they can guarantee they get a strike.
Yeah, I guess. But he was just being... It's like just Bill Murray being annoying. So it finally gets out. I kind of remember... I'm thinking that there was something that happened with Claudia and her boyfriend.
Yeah, basically they're at a bar... And then he's like, I'm going to go make a call. And she's like, go ahead. She stays there and she asks the bartender to turn on the TV to ESPN to watch a bowling tournament. Because he wants to know who is Ismail bowling or not. And when she sees Roy bowling. And she's like, oh, okay. All right, you can do this, Roy. You can do this.
Right. So
she's basically cheering him on while making sure her boyfriend's not coming back.
Right. Oh, another thing that happened is that... Oh, shit, I forgot what I was going to say. I hate it when that happens. So, go ahead and tell me another favorite part you had.
So, end of the bowling tournament, you think Roy's going to win because there was a 7-10 split. It's like, okay, can Roy do this? Can he actually get it? So he does get it. And then McCracken is nervous because he has to get 3 strikes. But McCracken gets his 3 strikes and he wins the tournament.
Right.
And he's all celebrating. And then not only that, but I believe he took Roy's rubber hand and tossed it.
Oh, I don't remember that part.
Into the crowd.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, the disrespect.
Right.
And then, he's still sitting there, all disappointed and sad. And a cleaner comes up talking about, I'm sorry for your last foul. And then when he gets his hand back, he just lets out a loud scream. And all the cleaners look at him like, oh yeah, he ain't doing good at all.
Right. So eventually, I forgot why, but Claudia comes back.
Okay, so what happened is when Roy leaves, he gets jumped by the boyfriend and the guard. And then that's when he hits the guard in the nuts, and then he backs away as the guard try to hit him, but he hits his boss in the nuts. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Claudia ran off with you. I don't know anything about McCracken. I don't care. I'm already mad. Leave me alone. And he goes back home. And then when he gets home, he basically has a sponsorship deal with Trojan because he got his cold condom thing off the his whole rubber thing being in bowling alleys off the ground.
Right.
So he's like, yeah, I'm appearing in commercial because of Trojan, the rubber hand.
Plus, he came in second place. I'm surprised they didn't have like a second place prize.
That's what I'm saying. Like, shouldn't that be a second place prize? I'm pretty sure there should be.
But they do have situations. Like if you're good enough, you tend to get sponsorship deals. Yeah. So he got Trojan condoms, sponsorship, and that
Claudia
was
came back and was like, yeah, I did it so you and Isma wouldn't get hurt. That's why I ran off. Also, I doubled the money since I ran off with him. And he was like, oh, okay. And so what they did, they went to where Isma was, and they basically told the father everything. Now, also, I forgot on how Isma's brother was tasked to bring him home.
Right.
And so during the tournament, he told Isma to, come on, brother, we got to go home. And instead of fighting and arguing, he's like, okay, fine, let's go.
Right. He just goes. So
he goes. When they get home, the father looks like he's disappointed because all you hear is talking about, yeah, brother Roy and the whore told me everything.
Right. They keep calling
Claudia a whore. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Right. They keep
and
calling
like,
Claudia
they
a whore.
told us everything. They told us on how you basically help brother Roy get over alcohol. We get back on a straight path. And then Roy's basically looking at us like, yeah, I told him a lie, so you don't have to tell him what you did,
right.
AKA the tattoo on your chest and the tattoo on your back.
Right. That was
because when they got to Reno, they was all drunk, and he had a tattoo on his chest, and he was like, I made a sin. But he was like, it's not that bad. Turns around on the mirror. There's a lady with huge breasts on his back, and I'm like, that's even worse.
And it's a gigantic tattoo.
It's a gigantic
I mean, he's
tattoo.
not even supposed to be bowling. Bowling in and of itself
bowling
was a sin.
When
he did it, he hid it from his family.
Because only the one that knew was his uncle.
Right. So when he, on a road trip, he got into drinking,
he got
smoking, he got into marijuana. He was
marijuana. He was, because there was like, Claudia offered Ismael some liquor. He was like, no. And he has a bong. And I'm like,
right, he has a gigantic bong.
Why?
So he's going into he's getting into everything.
Yeah, I'm like wearing regular clothes, going to strip clubs, wearing a gold chain.
Right.
I'm like, wow.
So he gets back home and
he thinks he's in trouble.
But
he's not, because the brother Roy and the whore came and gave us the money so we can keep the land.
Right.
And he's like, tell us about how you changed Roy. Please, like, when we're out, tell us on how you changed brother Roy and the whore. I'm like, why you just keep calling her a whore? Just call her Claudia. Call her something.
They don't even want to respect her.
They don't want to respect her as even anymore. I'm like, wow.
So, what was your overall impression of this movie?
It was a very good movie.
You really enjoyed it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I forgot the bit, like, when Roy and Mudson was in the car, Roy looked in the bed, like, why do you have sugar, McCracken? And he's like, don't worry about it. I drink a lot of sugar.
Right.
I drink a lot of coffee. I'm like,
that was very early.
I was like, because I already knew it had to be someone to, I was like, it could have been McCracken, because he might have been that upset that he lost to put sugar in that man's oil.
Right. Well, they put it in the tank.
In the tank. And I'm like, it was him. I'm like, why are you that mad?
Right. So that was early in the film, when Roy was a young boy.
Yeah, young naive boy.
Right. And when he first meets McCracken, and after he beats McCracken actually walks off.
Yeah, walks off.
He's angry.
He's angry.
So, and at that point, that's when he must have put
sugar in the tank.
In Munson's tank. Right. And so when Roy's car breaks down at the gas station and McCracken shows up, that's not a coincidence.
Coincidence. Like, he's sort of like, no, he meant to show up because he knew
to do that. And then didn't even try to hide the sugar. The sugar was in the back seat.
It's still in the back seat.
Why do you have sugar in the back seat? He's like, I use it for coffee. Yeah. But it took him a while to think of that
lie. I drink a lot of coffee. I'm like, no.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure Roy figured it out after he got his hand crushed. Like, it was him that did all this.
Yeah. He definitely figured that out. So yeah, it was a great movie. We really enjoyed it. I saw it with your mom. We really enjoyed it when we saw it at the movie theater. And it's like, when I read this, when I was doing my research for this, I did not know that this movie was Crash. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I figured that, and it's like this was kind of hard because we had a double feature. You watched both Black Widow, and then we came home and watched this movie. I don't really have the stamina for a double feature, but we did it. We did both movies, and it worked out great. So let's move on to the trivia from IMDb. Like most of this information comes from IMDb, and some of it from Rotten Tomatoes. But let's do the trivia. Peter Farrelly called the film's box office failure the biggest disappointment of his career, attributing the failure to its release during the 1996 Olympics. Farrelly said that it was crushing. However, he said that 6 to 8 months later, when the film was released on home video, it became a big hit.
Yeah, because it's one of those things that like, oh, wow, this was actually a good movie. Yeah, why didn't I see it?
It is a good movie.
As in the case with most of his films, Bill Murray ad-libbed virtually every line he spoke, including commercials. He would read over the script, get the general idea, and then discard it. The Farrelly brothers on the DVD commentary said that they're very glad he did because it was funnier.
Yeah, it's funnier. Bill Murray.
Let me read the script.
Right.
I can do better than that.
Right. Bill Murray is just a genius. According to the Farrelly brothers, they didn't initially take Lynn Shay, the landlady, seriously after having already cast her in a small role in Dumb and Dumber in 1994. At the suggestion of New Line Cinema, studio executive Robert Shay. However, when she came to read for this movie, she was mistaken for a homeless person looking for an ashtray. They politely tried getting her out until they realized it was her in character for the reading. The Farrellys were blown away and didn't see anyone else for the role. Shay subsequently appeared in more of their films thereafter.
Like, we can use her more.
Right.
The back row of fans at the Reno Bowling Stadium are made out of cardboard.
Right.
Like, we don't have enough people. Just cardboard.
Right. And it worked because I never even noticed. That's Reno, not Reno.
Oh, Reno.
Yeah. Let us not insult the good people of Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city on earth. That's their for real motto. Or the biggest little city in America. In the scene before Roy, Woody Harrelson, gets his hand taken off, both he and Ernie, Bill Murray, enter a large building and begin to walk up the stairs to the bowling alley. Roy asks, "People bowl here?" That is an actual location of the bowling alley where they filmed that scene. As it is located on the third floor of the building, the lanes are called Beaver Valley Bowl, located in Rochester, Pennsylvania. So that was a real place.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's on the third floor because normally you think it would be like on the first floor,
right?
Ground, it wouldn't. You throw the ball, wouldn't like. But the third floor, wouldn't the people below get upset about that? All the noise going on. Pretty sure I would be annoyed.
Well, it could be the third floor was like below them was storage or maybe even parking, but that is wild.
In the scene in the bowling alley restaurant, just before Ismail is about to get beaten up, the three are eating burgers and fries. However, Roy is eating a salad because Woody Harrelson is a vegan.
Right, I did not even know that. Throughout the movie, Claudia, Vanessa Angel, and Roy, Woody Harrelson, referred to Ishmael Randy Quaid as the kid, even though Quaid is older than Angel and Harrelson by 16 and 11 years respectively. In the movie, the character of Ishmael, played by Quaid, is younger than Munson, played by Harrelson.
I mean, that makes sense.
Right.
Roy, Woody Harrelson, dreams that the gambler, Chris Elliott, will pay him $1 million to sleep with Ismail. That's the part I forgot.
Right.
I was like, there was a part where he was like, oh, yeah. He was getting drunk. He's mad. He's like, Claudia was like, no, you won't. That's when the gambler comes up talking about, hey, I'll pay you $1 million if you let me sleep with him. One night.
No, he pays. He offers Roy $1 million for Roy to sleep with Quaid. To sleep with Ishmael.
No, it was the guy.
You think it was the guy?
Yeah, it was he said, I want to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
and then
it was,
then he was like, and then Ishmael's like, you're not gonna let him do that, are you? And he's like, I'll talk to him. He tells him to come over. He talks, and then the next scene, Ismo is laying in the bed, basically not happy, and then Roy's in a bed full of money, tossing it. I'm like,
Right.
wow, and it turns out it was just all a dream.
Right.
I'm like, wow.
It was all what you call a daydream.
Yeah. We'll pay him $1 million to sleep with Ismo, Rennie Quaid. This is a reference to Independence Proposal that came out in 1993, also starring Harrison.
That's an
Harrison.
indecent proposal.
Indecent proposal.
Yeah, that was... I never got to see it, but that was a much talked about film. And it's Harrelson. You trip over that name a lot. Harrelson.
Harrelson.
There you go. You can do it. I knew you could. The Farrelly brothers asked Michael Richards, Kramer from Seinfeld, to come in and discuss a role in the movie, but the conversation didn't go particularly well, and there was a disagreement. At one point, Richards asked to use the private bathroom in their office. They allowed it, but after Richards didn't return from the bathroom within a half an hour, they had to break down the door to see if he was okay. That's when they discovered that he'd climbed out the window and left. That is weird.
Wow.
You remember Kramer from Seinfeld?
Not really.
That's the taller dude with the weird wavy hair.
him.
And he's always kind of neurotic. And then later on, he got in trouble for because he was trying to do a comedy set, and he got mad at some black people, and he started calling them the N-word.
Oh.
And that basically
ended his whole career.
Yeah, that pretty. I don't want to say it ended his career, but I don't see him on TV anymore.
Ended his career. Let's see. Jim Carrey was the first choice of the Farrelly brothers to play Ernie McCracken.
Oh, that would have been fascinating. The scene where Ishmael gets the garbage thrown at his feet by a truckload of quote-unquote Indians is a reference to the public service announcement from the early 1970s. That's when they had, they tried to get people to care about the environment. Right. And at the end of the shot, they show like an Indian or a Native American with one tear going down his eye. Yeah, that was a famous commercial.
It has been confirmed that skid marks?
Yeah, that's the name.
MLB pitcher Roger Clemens
Yep.
is related to Seabass and NHL forward Cam Neely.
Yep.
From Dumb and Dumber that came out in 1994, linking the two movies.
Right. So, the Farrelly brothers, they like using
references.
They like using their favorite sports figures in their movies. So, so this is just saying that Roger Clemens from the NHL, from the NBL, from the National Baseball League, and Cam Neely from hockey, they're related. They're probably cousins or something. In Cheers in 1982, season 4, episode 9, From Beer to Eternity, Woody Boyd, played by Woody Harrelson, reveals that he is an ex-bowling ace who retired due to crippling a man in a bowling accident. In this film, his character is forced into retirement due to a bowling injury.
Real-life sportscaster Chris Berman and Chris Snickle cover the Reno bowling tournament for ESPN.
Right.
So, let's get these guys to actually cover this.
Yeah, when I saw those guys, I was like, I bet you those are real sportscasters because I'm not a sports
From the way they sound, I was like, oh, yeah, they're sports.
Right. In a lot of movies, I feel like they use actual sports or newscasters whenever they can. John Dennis, the play-by-play announcer for the final bowling tournament, is a real-life sports media member. He is popular in New England for being the co-host of Dennis and Callahan, the morning show for WEEI, Boston's most famous sports radio station, from 1997 to 2016. He and co-host Gary Callahan, a columnist for Sports Illustrated and the Boston Herald, welcome the Farrelly brothers to their show on several occasions and also joined them on set.
According to Chris Farley's agent, Doug Robinson, Chris was offered the part of Ismail, but his contractual obligation to appear in Black Sheep that came out in 1996 derailed this plan. Michael Keaton was originally considered for the role of Roy Mudson. Jim Carrey was the first choice of the Farley's brothers to play Ernie McCracken.
Yeah. So, what's interesting about this is that Chris Farley, he was a famous Saturday Night Live alum that started doing movies. And so I just remember him from this particular character that he did where he kept saying that stuff was out by the river. So unfortunately, he had passed away early in his career, but people remember Chris Farley fondly. You should go to YouTube, look him up. I know you don't know who he is, but go to YouTube and look him up. You see what we're talking about. We talk about Chris Farley. And then Black Sheep is a movie that I can't remember the name of the other dude. It was another Saturday Night Live dude that he did. And it's funny because he just did a special, but he did it with another dude. And that is a lot of other people's favorite movie. I never actually watched it, so I don't know if it's good or not. But I've also been told that it's a bad movie, so I never got into it. But Michael Keaton would have been a great choice to play Roy Munson if they had chosen him, because he used to do mostly comedies. Now he's doing mostly dramatic roles, but he started off doing comedies. He started off as a comedian, so he would have been a great choice. It would have been funny. And then throw that in with Jim Carrey, that would have been outstanding. So let's go over to see what critics thought. Got this from Rotten Tomatoes. Critics gave it a 50%. Audience gave it a 69% because critics be tripping. And IMDb reviews, they gave it a 6.9 out of 10. So Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun, let me get that out. The Chicago Sun-Times. Roger Ebert, my frenemy. Let's see what he says. He says, some of the gags don't work, and yet I laughed at the Farrelly's audacity in trying them. And the humor isn't just gags and punchlines. One of the most accomplished comic performance after another. And he's absolutely right. Like us just talking about it, we can't really, from this conversation, you really can't come across, we can't give you the notion of how funny it is. It's hard because there's so many like just visual gags in the movie, like stuff that you look at and it's just funny.
Let's just say it's that type of dumb stuff that is funny, the dumb funny stuff.
Right.
You find it dumb, but it's funny dumb.
Right. It's a lot of dumb funny stuff in there. So John J. Puscio, Movie Metropolis, or of Movie Metropolis. Oh, you know what? I did something wrong. That's not supposed to be in there. Hold on a second. I'm looking at it. Oh yeah. Okay, I see what I did wrong. I got something from the last episode that stuck in here. So, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna skip that part. But he wrote, fun, even if most of it is based on cruelty and hardship. Really? I mean, yeah, but that's what's funny. when cruelty and hardship is funny.
Matt Burnson from Creative Loafing. It's Bill Murray who easily swipes the picture. He's at the
he's at his unctuous.
Oh, he's at his unctuous best as Ernie McCracken, an oily bowler with an ego as enormous as his libido.
His libido, that's his desire to have sex.
Ken Hawk?
Yep.
Mountain Express, from Mountain Express. The combination of the overkill factor and a basic mean spiritness finally sinks it for me.
I don't know if this dude knows what comedy is. I don't understand.
Not.
He knows. And that's it's supposed to be over the top, and the mean spiritedness is what makes it funny. That's a lot of where comedy comes from. It's a calculation to comedy. Like one aspect of comedy, one of the main aspect is the reason that something is funny, even though you don't laugh at it, is technically funny, is that you're referencing something that's dangerous when you're no longer in danger. So if you see something on like a movie screen and you see something that's like crass or like mean spirit or something, but and you recognize it's funny because it's something that happened to you, or you can imagining it happening to you, but since it's not happening to you, it's funny. You know, it's the aspect of danger when you're no longer in danger. So that's what makes stuff funny. So your final thoughts is that this was a funny movie.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that you like this movie.
Yes.
Awesome. Right, this is a great movie. You guys should have seen Kingpin before I started talking about this. You saw the title of the podcast. You knew that we was going to spoil it. But in case you hadn't seen it, and it's not spoiled for you, Kingpin is, as of this recording, available for free on Paramount Plus.
We have that?
Yeah, Paramount Plus is free. Anybody can get Paramount Plus.
I thought it was a subscription you had to pay for.
No, you don't have to pay. You can upgrade your subscription. If you pay like $5 extra, you can upgrade it, and that takes away the commercials. But normally it's free. Like, you can just sign up for it and you will get it, but you will get it with commercials.
That's why I've been avoiding it, because I was like, I don't want to pay for no Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Because they had some things and I was like, oh, you putting that on Paramount Plus? I want to watch it.
Yeah, so you can sign up for Paramount Plus and you can watch everything for free. I'm actually paying for it because it's only $5 a month. But I don't know if you can have multiple accounts on it. But anybody can sign up for it and they can watch the pre version, and the only difference is that you get commercials. That's it.
I'm fine with that.
So the next episode, we team up with the Film Effect Podcast to talk about Project X. So that's going to be fun. Once again, if you like the show, then please rate us, write a review, and share it with someone. Believe me, it matters. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Backlook Cinema Podcast and Twitter at Backlook Cinema. Visit our site, backlookcinema.com.
Or send your feedback at fanmail@backlookcinema.com.
Be safe, hug your loved ones, and be outstanding.